Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. His whole gimmick might be no selling other people's wrestling moves, but it seems rising NXT star Dexter Lumis can get injured by his own. Lumis won a triple threat qualifier against Timothy Thatcher and Finn Balor on the 29th of July, entering him into the NXT North American title ladder match for TakeOver XXX. Look at it, it's so sexy. Get some dancers in there. Sorry, I forgot again. XXX is the Roman numeral 30. Not sexy time. In the half kayfabe, half shoot weekly injury report, NXT then announced Lumis had suffered an osteochondral lesion of the talus, which is the ancient Elvish way of saying ankle injury. After undergoing further testing, last week's NXT announced he has been pulled from the TakeOver ladder match, easily the biggest match of his career so far. Brian Alvarez has revealed on the F4W Online message board that this isn't a storyline, as with NXT you can sometimes never know. I've been fooled by you one too many times, copyright corner logo! And that Dexter has legitimately hurt his ankle, and that the injury was edited out of the July 29th episode. In one spot of the match, Lumis performs a flip dive over the top rope where he lands between Balor and Thatcher on the outside, standing up perfectly, which Finn and Temo sell like, what? But as you can see, there's a slightly clunky edit, cutting to Balor's reaction, as that's reportedly where Dexter fell awkwardly and injured himself. Lumis continued to wrestle through injury, winning that match by making Thatcher pass out in the silent submission. Before we get on with the rest of the episode, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to this video's sponsor.
I mean, WebMD says it's this.
Oh, really? That actually sounds pretty serious, actually.
It's Raid Shadow Legends, Pete! Raid is a fantasy RPG where you assemble and level up a team of champions to play through the campaign mode, PvP, tournaments and more, which you can download for free using our links below on both PC and mobile. And if you're anything like me, you'll love customizing each of your champions with the most powerful artifacts to find that perfect combination of stats. Yes, Jizzo, enjoy your fancy new metal booties. They add 3% to your overall HP. And the game is getting updated all the time for new and existing players, like the massively extended daily login rewards program that gives you free champions just for logging in, the Champion Fragments feature, where you collect pieces of champions to summon them, with special events running all the time, and a newly introduced Bazaar area, where you can buy virtual beer and chicken to level up your champions. Just imagine you've got Ivar from the Viking Raiders as a Tamagotchi. With all that, there's no better time to download Raid using WrestleTalk's special links in the video description, where if you're a new player, you'll get 100,000 silver and the free champion Hexweaver, which is a great character to start your campaign with. All this treasure will be waiting for you here in the inbox for the next 30 days. Please do at least give Raid a try using our links below, because it really helps support us here at WrestleTalk. I'll see you there. Back to NXT, Lumis being pulled from TakeOver XXX is just one of the many issues the third brand is tackling right now. As the Wrestling Observer is reporting, there is a lot of internal unhappiness in WWE about NXT frequently losing to AEW in the ratings. Out of the 32 Wednesday night battles this year so far, NXT has only beaten AEW in 5 of them, and after winning 3 in a row on the 24th of June, 1st and 8th of July, Dynamite has stretched their viewership lead over the last month, having almost 150,000 more viewers than NXT last Wednesday. So WWE are going to turn this around by adding more writers. Works so well for the main roster. Ever since NXT moved to the USA Network in September last year, the shows have been produced by 3 writers. So potentially, in a way to turn the ratings back in their favor, they've added 2 others. One who had been a former writer brought back to the company, and the other, someone on the writing team who was working for the company, moved to NXT. But it's not just the AEW versus NXT head-to-heads WWE should be worried about, as in the last few weeks, Way earlier than anyone ever predicted, Dynamite is now challenging Raw and SmackDown in the most sought-after demographics by advertisers. In a Wrestling Classics article by Dave Meltzer, reposted by David Bixenspan, the value for money of WWE versus AEW to Fox USA and TNT respectively looks like this. TNT must love AEW. They're now getting the same 18 to 34 numbers as Raw and SmackDown and 70% of 18 to 49s, and paying $45 million a year instead of $265 million and $205 million. Wrestling Classics there, brought to you by the internet in 2004. In fact, AEW are doing so well in the ratings, they're now actively trying to turn away viewers. The hubris! After Jim Cornette heavily criticized the Super Wednesday debate between Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy from last week's episode, which saw the debut of Eric Bischoff in the promotion, Y2J tweeted, "I am officially banning Jim Cornette from watching any and all future episodes of AEW Dynamite and AEW Dark. He is under AEW suspension until further notice. Thank you, Demo God." Whether Jericho was joking or not about Cornette has been overshadowed, though, by his own controversial actions over the weekend. The annual Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, the very site of WCW's biker-themed pay-per-views Road Wild because Bischoff loves motorbikes so much, still went ahead yesterday, hosting an expected 250,000 people, despite the risks of spreading coronavirus, with people being close to each other, not wearing masks, drinking a lot, and then flying or riding back home, potentially spreading any new cases around the country. And of all the musical acts performing, one of them was Jericho's own band, Fozzy. Their show was held indoor at a 35% capacity in an attempt to adhere to social distancing guidelines, but photos from the event showed people still very close to each other. Temperature checks were required to get in, and masks were handed out to those who didn't have them. Still, it's a very real risk, particularly with Wednesday's episode of Dynamite being live and built mostly around the Jericho vs. Cassidy rematch, which will have to be scrapped if Chris suddenly develops symptoms. AEW's testing procedures are very strict, meaning Chris won't be allowed to enter the stadium until he's passed them. But as Meltzer notes, the tests aren't foolproof, especially if they are taken the first few days after exposure. Fozzy and Jericho were trending on Twitter because of criticism over the performance. Satanic Rights wrote, "I feel for performers that generally live hand to mouth, but that's not Fozzy's situation. They can't use the starving artist excuse. They didn't need to play that show." Chris Baudet posted, "I seriously hope Tony Khan and the rest of the higher-ups at AEW have Chris Jericho self-isolate for a couple of weeks after having a freaking Fozzy concert with a ton of people showing up. Kind of doubt it though." And Brian Last, the host of the Drive-Thru podcast, started the new hashtag, "A little bit of the virus." Tragically, the fatal consequences of coronavirus have potentially hit the wrestling industry yet again. Former WWE star Kamala has reportedly passed away, according to Jason King of Bleacher Report. Spoke with Kamala's wife. He tested positive Wednesday for COVID, which he likely contracted from one of his numerous weekly visits to the dialysis center, was hospitalized Wednesday night and seemed fine and in good spirits this morning, went into cardiac arrest and passed this afternoon. After working through the dying years of the territorial system with Mid-South and world-class championship wrestling, Kamala, real name James Harris, wrestled for the WWF in the 80s and 90s, which involved a world heavyweight title feud with Hulk Hogan. After a run in WCW, he mostly retired in 1995, but did make notable appearances in WrestleMania X7's Gimmick Battle Royal and, weirdly, an ROH World Championship match against Daniel Bryan in 2006. WWE said they were saddened by the news in a statement, extending their condolences to Harris's family, friends, and fans. While many wrestlers have shared their stories about what a nice man the scary, towering Kamala actually was, with Taz calling him tremendously nice, Goldberg revealed Kamala was the first wrestler he ever saw live, and the Iron Sheik, as eloquent as ever, posted in all caps, "God bless the Kamala, he always put on a show for the fans. Good big man who worked the gimmick better than most. It break my heart." Thanks for your support on Patreon, the roller coaster Robert Acosta, and don't have a Shane Cowley, man. A lot of stuff has happened in the wrestling world over the last few days. Here's me to catch you up. According to Cage Side Seats' rumor section, so take this with a pinch of salt, Big E's singles push will see him wrestle AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship soon. After accusing her of poisoning her husband on Raw, Bianca Belair continued her feuding with Zelina Vega at her house. Belair burst through the door during Vega's Twitch stream to attack her, which either had the image freeze or Kayla Braxton mastering the art of standing so still you become invisible. Still better shot than Raw Underground. On Raw's new gimmick with the sexy dancers. Seth Rollins told Gorilla Position that he wasn't entirely offended by WWE's latest new idea to bring back viewers, admitting the fans want something fresh, but that his verdict on it is kind of TBD. It could end up being ridiculous in a bad way, or it could end up being ridiculous in a good way. So best case scenario, it's still ridiculous. And Seth hasn't been the only one casually shooting. We didn't get to see Roman Reigns versus Goldberg at WrestleMania this year, with WWE instead switching the match to Braun Strowman because of reasons. Someone should tell Goldberg that, as he seems to think they're still feuding, telling American Monster Productions that Reigns was a joke after Reigns' tweets from January where he made fun of Goldberg headbutting lockers. New WWE signee Leon Ruff has been getting a lot of praise backstage, according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, with one WWE roster member comparing him to a young Jeff Hardy as a name that everyone wants to work with, even if it was an enhancement match, because of the lengths we went to in order to make people look good. For all we know, he might be in Retribution, WWE's other new idea to grab ratings. Dave Meltzer has said on Sunday night's main event podcast that when the new faction showed up on SmackDown on Friday, they weren't portrayed by the actual wrestlers who will be eventually unmasked as its members. Many people think they spotted Vanessa Bourne in disguise, but the main speculation right now is that it'll consist of NXT's Dominik Dijakovic and Tommaso Ciampa after they blacked out their social media with cryptic messages. Over in AEW, in a potentially huge story in a few years' time, it was announced late last week that the main TV executive behind getting Dynamite on TNT, Kevin Riley, has been let go by Warner Media in a corporate shakeup. Cody has told fans there's nothing to worry about though, tweeting, "We have been blessed to have had so many viewers, even opposed, thus the 3+ year extension. It's a great partnership." And finally, Dave Meltzer has said New Japan are expecting Will Ospreay to return to the promotion for their upcoming G1 tournament. Aside from admitting he'd recently experienced suicidal thoughts, Ospreay hasn't been heard from much since June's Speaking Out movement, where he was accused of blackballing wrestler Pollyanna after she spoke out against allegations of abuse. Would you like a quick roundup of all the other wrestling news stories like that more often? Let me know in the comments down below, where I'll be replying to people from out of nowhere, telling you to watch Luke Owen's brand new show on Parts Unknown, asking, is Charlotte Flair actually good? Here's a tease.
Right, okay, so to look at this scientifically, I need to... Sorry, 1 second. In order to look at this scientifically, what I've done is I've gone through the Wrestling Observer newsletter to find star ratings for WrestleMania matches, Charlotte Flair's WrestleMania matches, because typically it's the biggest night of the year for WWE, it's when they put on their best matches, it's when people put in the most effort somewhat. But I can't just look at Charlotte Flair's WrestleMania numbers to prove if she's actually good scientifically. I need to compare the data to something else. I need to compare her to someone else. The person that WWE themselves will tell you is one of the greatest of all time, Trish Stratus. Now I know what you're thinking. I can see you starting to type already. Why not Beth Phoenix, AJ Lee, Kelly, I don't know. The simple fact is that WWE have only really just started to care about women's wrestling, and when Beth Phoenix and AJ Lee were on top, so was Santino Marella. Beth Phoenix didn't get a big WrestleMania title match. AJ Lee didn't get a big one. She had that match where she faced like 15 people, but really, would you say that was a big-time WrestleMania match on the level that people like Charlotte Flair, Bayley and Sasha Banks and Becky have had? No, I don't think you really can. Trish Stratus, on the other hand, had 4 WrestleMania matches for the title that had storylines going into it and were given some semblance of time. So that's the data we're going to look at. Just kicking off with WrestleMania X8 versus Jazz versus Lita. -1 star. It's not looking good. Right.